Hey everyone, welcome to week 17 of the Wild Woman Yoga series. I'm Lexi, and our theme for class today is forgiveness. So, this is going to be a vinyasa style flow. All you'll need is your yoga mat, and if you'd like a blanket to pad your knees in some of the poses, you can go ahead and grab that as well. And I will meet you back here. So we're actually going to start practice standing today in Tadasana, mountain pose. So grounding into all four corners of both of your feet. You can lift up the toes to kind of sense the corners of your feet and make sure that they're firmly planted on the surface beneath you. And then relax the toes, engaging the muscles of the legs to help you to stand tall. Even engaging the core just a little bit for stability. And stacking the vertebrae of your spine one over the other, finding length from the base of your tailbone all the way to the crown of your head, and imagining a silver cord connected to the top of your head, gently pulling at your body to establish length. And from here you can relax the hands on either side of the body, straight with your fingertips pointing towards the earth. Maybe fingers are spread wide, or maybe just softened, palms facing towards the front of your mat. And from here you can close the eyes or soften the gaze. You can also keep hands at heart center in prayer position. Might want to try that out, see how it feels. Find what feels good for you today in this moment. Kind of drawing the shoulders down and back, away from the ears, opening in the front body. And let's begin to find the breath. Taking a deep breath in through the nose and exhaling through the nose. Maybe finding that ujjayi breath as you make an audible exhale through the nose. Continue to breathe as you bring to mind our theme for class today: forgiveness. And for our purposes, maybe thinking about forgiveness in terms of interpersonal forgiveness, those who may have wronged you or hurt you, intentionally or not. And forgiving in order to cut that cord of energy, of anger, sadness, and reclaiming your power. You might imagine a cord of energy between you and that person or multiple persons. And as you forgive, there is a severance of the cord, and all of the energy is withdrawn back into you, reclaimed back into you. Replenishing your vitality. But of course, this isn't always easy. Edith Eger, who is an author and Holocaust survivor, has said that there is no forgiveness without rage. So along this journey of forgiveness, this process, don't be surprised if there is rage and grace and sadness and all or any emotion that arises. Just allow it. It's part of your process. And we'll use movement today to allow this to flow through us. I invite you to reach your arms out and up, palms touch overhead. Maybe your face lifts towards the sky. And finding a steeple grip, so all of the fingers clasping together, except the pointer fingers, which remain extended. And you can keep the gaze up or find a drishti out in front of you if that feels better for your neck. And reaching tall on an inhale, exhale, stretching over to the right. Gently waking up the spine and side body. And inhale, come up to center. Exhale, stretching over to the left. And inhale, come up to center. On an exhale, release the grip and open your arms up wide. Open twist to the right. Inhale up to center, palms touch overhead. And exhale, open twist to the left. And it's okay if your twist isn't very wide. You can play with the range of motion and see what feels good for your shoulder. And inhale, palms touch overhead. Back at center, exhale, dive forward. You can release the neck, shake out the head. No, shake out the head, yes. You can keep a slight bend in the knees, as this is our first forward fold of the practice. And then bending in to the left knee, keeping the right knee relatively straight. Left hand comes a little bit in front of the feet, but at center, kind of grounds down. You can be on your fingertips, on your palm, wherever you are is fine. And then reach the right hand up, fingertips towards the sky, bending into that left knee. Gentle stretch for the right hip. And release. And we're gonna switch over to the other side. So bending into the right knee, straightening in the left leg. And you can come onto the right fingertips at center, or even your right knuckle. That feels better and more stable for you. And reaching that left arm up, the fingertips towards the sky. Your gaze can follow your left fingertips or down at your right hand, whatever feels good for your neck, or anywhere in between. And release. Inhale, lift up halfway. And exhale, fold. Maybe grabbing opposite elbows just for a moment and swaying a bit from side to side. And then planting the hands on either side of the feet and stepping back into plank. Lowering down, maybe your knees, your chest, hands on either side of the ribs, and lifting up either to baby cobra or upward dog. And eventually pressing back to downward dog. Pedaling out here. And then maybe finding a little bit of stillness. Lowering down to the knees, we'll find a tabletop position. So you can untuck the toes, tops of the feet to the mat, and align your knees underneath your hips and your wrists underneath your shoulders. So always stacking your joints here. Knees about as wide as your hips. And we'll do a few rounds of cat-cow, always fun. So you can also keep your toes tucked if that feels good for you. On an inhale, dropping the belly and lifting the chin. And on an exhale, rounding in the back, tucking the chin to the chest. Inhale, drop the belly, lift the chin. Exhale, round. Maybe closing your eyes and feeling into the movement. Inhale, drop the belly, lift the chin. Exhale, round. And a few more at your own pace. Just noticing how your body feels today. We'll do one more. And coming back to a neutral spine. Bringing your elbows where your palms previously were. And then walking them out just a little bit further in front of you. But keeping the hips and knees where they were. I'm going to come into a puppy pose. So you can ground down into the hands, palms to the earth, forearms to the earth, parallel to each other. And then bring the third eye to the mat, heart sinking towards the mat as well, allowing the pelvis to tilt forward. And play around with moving your forearms a bit more forward on your mat. And then walking the hands back, forearms stay parallel, and you can extend the legs out long and drop down onto the belly. Untuck the toes, coming into Sphinx pose. So elbows are stacked underneath your shoulders, palms down onto the mat, and lifting the chest to open the front body here, broadening through the collarbones. Have so many little ant friends with me. Sorry. So broadening in the collarbones, pressing into the tops of the feet to find stability in your base, and lifting from the crown of the head. And imagining more opening in the front body rather than crunching in the low back. Drawing the shoulder blades together. And release. You can slowly roll the torso forward down onto the mat, bringing the arms down at your sides. Palms towards the sky. And rest the forehead on the mat just for a moment. And then clasping the hands at your sacrum behind you. If this is uncomfortable for you, you can leave the arms at your side and just lift them off the ground. But if it feels accessible, clasping the hands at your sacrum. And once again, lifting the chest, lifting the head, broadening in the front body, or locust pose. Pressing into the hips. And if at any moment you feel that sensation becomes too intense, you can always come down and rest on your forehead. Always available to you. And we'll just do 3 more breaths here. And release down, everybody. On your forehead, releasing the hands at your sides, releasing the shoulders down, melt them towards the earth. And then bringing the palms on either side of the rib cage and pressing back gently to child's pose. Little counter stretch for the back. And then pressing back up to your tabletop position. You may need to move the knees and hands a little bit closer together. And then tucking the toes, pressing the ground away from you with your hands back into downward dog. As you're ready, lifting the left foot up and bringing it in between the hands. Whenever you're bringing your foot in between your hands, feel free to come up on the fingertips, on one hand or both hands if you can. I don't know how comfortable that is, but on one hand. So for example, if you're bringing your left foot forward, you can come up onto the left fingertips and stay grounded in your right hand, just to make for a little bit more space for that foot to come through. From here, kicking that right heel over to the left, bringing the right foot at about a 45-degree angle, and lifting all the way up to Warrior One. Pressing into the pinky edge of the right foot, bending into the left knee, drawing the left hip back and softening the right hip forward, and seeing if you feel stable. If not, feel free to step that back foot out to the right a bit. Just widen the base of your pose and see if that helps. From here, we're going to come into Humble Warrior. So lowering the hands and bringing them again to clasp at your sacrum behind you. Drawing the shoulders down and back, shoulder blades moving towards each other. And as you're ready, hinging at the hips to bring the torso forward on the inside of the left thigh or above the left thigh. And breathing here just for a bit. Maybe 3 deep breaths. You can drop the neck. One more. And releasing the hands on either side of the left foot. You can lift the right heel and drop the right knee and then the top of the right foot. Inch that left foot forward just a little bit and send the hips back, straightening the left leg for half split. You can be on the palms here, on the fingertips, finding length in the spine. as we gently release that left leg. And then bending into the left leg and sending the right shin 45 degrees to the left as you bring the left hand on the inside of the left foot and walk your hands all the way to the back of the mat, coming onto the big toe edge of the left foot. Ground into your right hand, right wrist underneath the right shoulder, and open up left fingertips towards the sky for a side plank. And releasing the right hand down to meet the left hand down to meet the right. And sending that right foot back. You're on the left toes here. Send the right foot back, up high, and step it through the hands. Kick the left heel towards the right, finding a 45-degree angle with the left foot. And lift all the way up to warrior one. Again, noticing if you feel a bit off balance, you can always widen your base. Maybe this time trying to modify the front foot, so heel toeing it out to the right a bit, as long as your right knee is still stacked over the right ankle and isn't tracking inward. Pressing into the pinky toe edge of the back foot, and then maybe reaching the arms up overhead, or you can keep them at your sides if that feels better for your shoulders. Drawing the right hip back, softening the left hip forward. And then coming into humble warrior again on this side. So dropping the hands and bringing them to clasp at your sacrum behind you. And lowering the torso either on the outside of the right leg or hovering just above the right leg. You can do that as well. So we'll come forward, dropping the neck. And we'll do just a few breaths here. One more. And bringing the palms on either side of the right foot, lifting the left heel, and dropping the left knee, top of the left foot, walking that right foot forward just a bit as you send the hips back and straighten the right leg for half split. Again, invitation to come up on the fingertips just to find a little more length in the spine rather than rounding in the back. This is also a great opportunity to use blocks if you have them, just to bring the floor up closer to your hands. Maybe flexing the right toes back towards the shin. And bending again into the right knee. Hands follow the foot. And rotating your left shin 45 degrees to the right as you bring your right hand on the inside of the right foot and walk your hands all the way back to the front of the mat on the big toe edge of your right foot here, grounding into the left hand and reaching the right fingertips up towards the sky for a modified side plank. And release the right hand to meet the left. Come up on the right toes and send that left foot back high before bringing it to meet the right. Into downward dog for a moment before stepping the right foot forward and left foot forward. Inhale, lift up halfway, and exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up to standing, palms touch overhead, and exhale, pull your palms through heart center. And rest here for a few breaths. Inhale, reach the arms out and up, palms touch overhead. Exhale, dive forward. Inhale, lift halfway, and exhale, fold. Stepping back to plank and lowering down, knees to chest. Lifting up into baby cobra or upward dog. And pressing back to downward dog. From here, lower down onto the knees, untuck the toes, and send the hips back. Torso stays tall, so walking the hands back so that you're sitting on your heels, sit bones to the heels. And at this time, you can bring a blanket underneath your knees if that feels good for you. Just taking a moment to find a comfortable hero's pose. We'll be coming into camel. We're going to go very slowly into camel, taking our time and always being gentle with any kind of back bend. So coming up onto the knees, lift the sit bones up, stacking the hips over the knees. And throughout the pose, drawing the inner thighs energetically together to keep them engaged. Engaging the glutes and core, just as we did at the beginning in mountain pose. And if camel is in your practice, you can leave the feet as they are. If not, you can modify by tucking the toes to bring the heels up a little bit higher. You can also bring blocks on either side of the ankles. But if you don't have blocks, don't worry. We'll take it step by step, and if at any point it feels like this is as far as I'd like to go, then just stay there and breathe. So keeping the hips stacked over the knees, engaging the core, broadening through the collarbones. If this is new for you, You can come and bring your arms in like a cactus arm, goalpost arm, and just focus on opening in the front body, gently tilting the chin up towards the sky, and working to feel stable here, maintaining the alignment of all the joints in your trunk. And this is a great place to be. If you'd like, you can bring the hands on your waist, your thumbs pressed into your sacrum, and broaden in the front body that way. Still drawing the thighs energetically together. And again, focusing on opening in the front heart space rather than crunching in the back. So thumbs at your sacrum, broadening in the collarbones, maybe lifting the chin slightly. And then as you're ready, or if you'd like, you can bring your right hand to the right heel. Maybe right fingertips come down, maybe full palm to heel. And we'll just do a half camel. You can lift up your left fingertips towards the sky and bring your gaze to a follow. Keeping the thighs engaged. And to come out, lifting straight up, so not tilting over to one side. And you can untuck the toes, sit back onto your heels in hero's pose, and reset before we move to the left side. So coming up onto the knees, tucking the toes, finding that energetic draw between the thighs, pressing your thumbs into your sacrum, lifting the chest. And again, you can stay here, just working on this slight bend. Or you can bring the left palm or fingertips to the left heel and reach the right hand up to the sky. Lifting up. And if you'd like, you can come into full camel if that's in your practice. Or you can untuck the toes, tops of the feet to the earth. Send the hips back to hero's pose for a second. Take maybe 2 breaths here. And then walking the hands out in front of you and gently and slowly coming down into child's pose. Lifting the head, walking the hands back. Bringing the big toes together to touch. And bringing the knees about as wide as the mat. Sit your hips back onto the heels. We're going to do just a few rounds of lion's breath, which can at first feel a little bit silly. But if you just surrender to it, it can be very empowering. So knees are about as wide as the mat, big toes touching, and bring the palms in between your knees onto the earth. Finding maybe a position with your palms a little bit in front of the knees. It really depends on the length of your arms, so play around with it. But any position where you can feel that your torso is tall, you can broaden in the collarbones rather than feeling as though you're curved over. And once you've found that position, rotating the fingertips outward so they face back towards your body, and the eyes of your elbow are facing forward, only if that feels good for your arms. If not, you can keep the fingertips forward, no problem. Playing around, and once you feel a stable base, you're going to take a deep breath in as you arch the back. And on an exhale, open the mouth wide and breathe as if you're trying to fog up a window. Let's try that again. Inhale. One more. This time, as you breathe out, extend the tongue long, so the tip of the tongue reaching down towards the earth on your exhale, and continuing with the audible exhale as if you're trying to fog up a window. Just adding the tongue. Inhale. One more. And you can keep the eyes closed on this last round. We'll do 5. We'll do 5 breaths. You can keep the eyes closed, or you can open the eyes and bring the gaze upward towards the sky. Don't worry about what you look like. Nobody's watching, I don't think. And just feel into the potential power of the breath and posture. Broadening the shoulders, slight arch in the back, and either eyes closed or bring your gaze up. And same thing, reaching the tip of the tongue down to the earth on an exhale, on an audible exhale. Okay? So inhale and exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. 2 more. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale, let it go. And relaxing the jaw. You can close the eyes and rotate the arms back forward if they weren't already there, and back towards the body, so you're putting your weight into sitting back on your heels. You can bring the knees together or leave them wide. And we'll just come briefly into a child's pose as a counter stretch to the back. And walking the hands back towards the body, swinging the feet out to the right or left so you can come firmly onto your sit bones. And making your way onto your back. At this point, you can find any final posture that feels good for you, maybe coming into a ball pose, drawing the knees in tight and rocking from side to side, or coming into happy baby, grabbing the outside of your feet with your hands or the inside of your knees with your hands, wherever you can latch on is perfect, and then just rocking from side to side gives a nice little massage to your low back. And releasing, maybe momentarily bringing the arms up overhead, stretching long, and then relaxing the hands on either side of the body, a little ways away from the body, making space for the arms, allowing the shoulders to just relax towards the earth, the feet to roll out to the east and west, bringing the feet about as wide as the mat, making space for the thighs, releasing the belly, just releasing everything. No more holding, attention, softening the face, forehead, the eyes, the jaw, mouth, hips, every finger and toe relaxed. So you settle into Shavasana. Begin to bring small movement to the fingers and toes. To deepen the breath. Taking your time to come onto one side of the body, either the right or the left. Into a fetal position, drawing the knees in, supporting the head. Feeling the earth support you, as it always does, as it always is. And as you're ready, pressing up into a comfortable seat. And to close our practice, I invite you to join me in taking Lotus Mudra. So bringing the palms together at your heart center, fingertips together. And then allowing the fingertips to open while maintaining contact between the two thumbs and the two pinky fingers. So just opening the middle finger, the ring finger, and the pointer finger, allowing them to separate like the petals of a lotus, to spread wide while keeping that seal from the tip of the pinky finger down the edges of the hand to the tip of the thumbs. And keeping the mudra near your heart. And maybe close the eyes and rest in this position for a few breaths. As a reminder to our mind and also to our physical body to remain open, to keep our hearts open, even after hurt and pain and conflict. Because from our hearts we can connect, can live intuitively. There's so much wisdom and richness that comes from living from the heart. Not to say that we don't protect ourselves, that we don't use discernment in picking relationships or situations that we involve ourselves in. But knowing that even though we are wise, we also always feel, and honoring that. You can bring the palms back together, fingertips together. I thank you for sharing practice with me. Be well.